Good morning, world. This is a side show. I'm Theodore Parker. Today is Friday, October 24, 2025. As far as the weather conditions in this area, coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, on the east coast of the United States, freeze warning from Friday 2 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time until Friday 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Currently, the time is 7:07 a.m. We got almost another hour, 45 minutes or so before the sun comes up this morning. Today, more sun than clouds, highs in the low 60s and lows in the upper 30s. Weather-wise, Melissa is expected to be a major hurricane. Again, mostly sunny today, highs of 60 degrees. Currently, the temperature is 35 and feels like 35. Conditions for running right now are fair. For cycling, good weather. And for gardening, conditions are fair. The AQI is good at 14. The UV index is low right now since the sun has not come up yet. Humidity higher than yesterday, 93%. But the dew point at 33 degrees is very dry. The wind at 2 miles per hour. Day before yesterday, we had wind gusts of about 15 miles per hour. Yesterday, compared to that, at maybe 4 or 5, it was relatively calm. Sunrise today will be at 7:56 a.m. and sunset at 6:47 p.m. Storm Benjamin slams Spain. And Tropical Storm Melissa likely to bring prolonged, life-threatening, heavy rain, destructive winds to Jamaica. Rapid intensification likely. So that's the weather and in conditions in other places as well. As I mentioned before, this is the 5th year for the sideshow. Thanks to all of you in the viewing audience for still having an interest. By way of explanation, people that come on and do shows, you have several formats. You have podcasts, which involve several people discussing things of interest in the news or different topics. There's also vlog, which is kind of related to travel or people that are interested in promoting exercise. Come on to do that. And then you have this format, which I use, is called a blog, which is short for web blog. So according to the definition that is given, let's see if I can pull this up for you, just so you're turned and aware. According to the dictionary, a regular updated website or web page, typically one run by an individual or small group, that is written in an informal or conversational style. A verb to add new material or regular update a blog. And what does the acronym blog stand for? Again, blog is a shortened version of the term weblog, which refers to a website or a section of a website where individuals or groups can publish content, typically in reverse chronological order. Originally a way for people to share their thoughts and ideas online in a journal-like format. The term has evolved to describe a wide variety of online publications, including news articles, guides, and company updates. The term blog was created to describe an online journal log of activities, and blog became the popular short form. Format: content on a blog is presented in a series of posts, with the newest entries appearing first. Evolution: blogs began as personal online diaries, but have grown into a powerful tool for businesses, communities, and individuals to share information, build an audience, market products or services. Key features: common elements include a chronological feed of articles, posts, the ability for readers to leave comments, and the option for users to subscribe to updates. So, that being said, underneath the viewing screen, you will see buttons for like, comments, and you can subscribe. I'm not sure how to explain the number of views. I guess if I stick with it long enough, the answer will reveal itself. Because I have more members in my family than is reflected in the number of views. So, news items that are used here in this program, the sideshow, come from around the world. Excuse me. Still, I have allergies, folks. And examples of such are this one from France. African ambassador to France fell from the 22nd floor of the Hyatt Hotel. It was reported the window to his hotel room was forced open. Over the past several days, the Philippines has reported a volcano erupting, and before that, there was an earthquake that caused the deaths of 17 people. You know, there's been an announcement and work is in progress that President Donald Trump here in the United States has decided to construct what was originally priced at $250 million ballroom addition to the east side of the White House. He says that price tag has jumped to $300 million. He says he's using his own money and has brought in other investors. Other things of note that have come across the media: unitary robots out of China. There was a brief moment when Walmart listed the unitary robot as an item for sale that has since been taken down. But the unitary robot out of China has been shown in video performing kung fu moves, flips, handstands, and other various activities. There was another video article speaking about the hand controls for the robot, 2 fingers and a posable thumb that can rotate and assume different positions and performing tasks such as would be done in a industrial plant, setting things on shelves, taking things off, sorting, dropping things in containers, handling things such as tires and all of that. So progress in robotics, especially in this particular instance, is amazing to me. So those are just a couple of things that have rolled in over the last 5 to 6 days. The things that I want to make you aware of today, articles and things of that nature, I will do what is referred to as the heavy lifting, the more in-depth articles first, and the lighter material will follow after that. So in this country, recently there was the second No Kings protest march, and the numbers have been reported to have been 7 million people participating. This country has a population, according to the last census, of 350 million, But I guess with 7 million, that's taking the lead position. President Trump still has his followers and supporters. I guess with him pursuing his political rivals, that might be a position that some people might want to be in. Constantly things are rolling out information-wise, and I try to look over several articles to see what facts are presented, and then try to grab the one that has the most facts. There has been mention in the news about Project 25, and this kind of, validates people being conscious of how President Trump is using the office currently in this term. It comes from the Heritage Foundation, and the Heritage Foundation, when I lived in DC years ago, was down by Union Station, a couple of blocks over, but still considered to be the Capitol Hill area, only residential. So that's where the building or the office was located years ago. I don't know if that's still the case or not. But the Heritage Foundation is considered to be something of a think tank, and puts forth ideas and considerations for the public. So they had done a 900-page report that was considered to be Project 25. And that's what I'm going to share with you today, and the details that are contained in that up to a certain point, or as much as the article covers. So here we go, as soon as I'm able to bring it up. Okay. A little bit more. Okay, King's protest. Hughes, New England. Let's book. Okay, I've probably gone past it. What it does is bring up what is going on, how the president is proceeding, and that this 900 pages are actually a operation textbook for how to take over the government. So as soon as my eyes focus on the article, I will begin. It was amazing that the Louvre Museum was robbed in broad daylight of some unestimable value of jewels from the Napoleon collection. Did you catch that one? Yes. Well, all right, folks, it seems like hours to me that I'm looking, but I'm quite sure it's just seconds on the clock. Oh, here we go. And this is one day ago from Politics, Shine My Crown. Okay? As follows, the article is entitled, "They're Definitely Not Planning to Give Up Power." Influencer warns Project 2025 is in motion to dismantle U.S. democracy. In a viral video that has racked up millions of views so far, a political commentator warns that Project 2025, a conservative policy roadmap linked to Donald Trump's allies, is not a conspiracy theory, but a real-time blueprint to consolidate presidential power and reshape the U.S. government from the ground up. One comment: they were not joking, they were not bluffing, and they're definitely not planning to give up power. The speaker, Nikki Free, said, citing Trump's recent admission that he met with one of Project 2025's architects despite previously denying any connection. The video, which has spread rapidly across Instagram and X, formerly Twitter, reignited a wave of concern about the Heritage Foundation 900-page policy agenda, which critics have called a handbook for authoritarianism. And this is a picture of the lady who's making the comments, I believe. What is Project 2025? Excuse me, folks. Launched by the Conservative Heritage Foundation, Project 2025 is a detailed policy proposal outlining how a future Republican administration, particularly one led by Trump, could reshape the federal government to align with hardline conservative ideals. At its core, the plan calls for reclassifying thousands of civil servants under a new category called Schedule F, which would make it easier to fire career officials deemed insufficiently loyal. Centralizing control over federal agencies, including the Department of Justice, FBI, FCC, Communications, and FTC, Trade Commission, effectively stripping them of their traditional independence. Expanding presidential powers to direct policy without congressional approval. As I've mentioned in previous broadcasts, the system of checks and balances between the executive, judiciary, and legislative branches do keep things from getting quote unquote out of control, or one particular branch having excessive power. Expanding presidential powers to direct policy without congressional approval. Dismantling diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI initiatives across federal institutions. Supporters argue the plan would restore accountability and curb what they view as an unresponsive bureaucratic deep state. But legal scholars and former officials have raised alarm bells, calling it a direct threat to the constitutional separation of powers. The growing fear: rehearsals for control. The viral video by the Atlanta influencer takes those fears further, alleging that recent troop deployments in cities like Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and Chicago, officially framed as crime-fighting efforts, are rehearsals for martial law. Don't let them fool you, the speaker warned. These aren't simple crime-fighting missions. They're trial runs for what martial law looks like when the regime refuses to step down. I will mention this. It's already been said by President Trump that he might be interested in a third term. While no evidence supports that claim, the anxiety it reflects is real, rooted in the violent aftermath of January 6, 2021, the refusal of many Trump allies to accept the results of the 2020 election, recent strong and controversial stance against immigration by the current Trump administration. Trump's tightening grip on the narrative. Trump has long dismissed Project 2025 as someone else's idea, but his tone has shifted. In recent months, he has publicly praised sections of the plan, and met with one of its authors, according to several political analysts. The commentator in the viral video interpreted that shift as confirmation that Trump intends to use the plan as a governing blueprint if he returns to the White House. It's not a coincidence, it's confirmation, the speaker said. This isn't a theory anymore, y'all. It's blueprint being executed in real time. The constitutional stakes. Constitutional experts have been warning for months that Project 2025's proposals to consolidate executive power could amount to a legal coup, one that's executed through bureaucratic restructuring rather than brute force. One former federal attorney told Reuters that such plans could obliterate decades of legal precedent protecting the independence of the Justice Department and other agencies. In other words, the end of American democracy may not come with tanks in the streets, but with pen strokes in policy offices. A call to action or a cry of alarm. The video ends with an emotional plea. Silence is complicity, and they are counting on us to be quiet. For some, that message captures the unease of a nation still recovering from political trauma, one where faith in democratic institutions is at a historic low, and authoritarian rhetoric feels increasingly normalized. Whether Project 2025 represents a legitimate threat or a partisan exaggeration, its rise from the think tank obscurity to mainstream discourse underscores one chilling truth. Americans are now debating in real time how much democracy their democracy can withstand. So, again, that is an article that is from Politics, Shine My Crown, 1 day old. As I said, it's now 7:29 a.m. The sun is not up in this area, but for some of you in other parts of the world, given that 12-hour difference, you are entering into your evening hours. Here's another one that goes along with that one. Again, from Politics, 3 days ago. 10 laws passed quietly while the nation was distracted. Ever notice how, whenever a major news story dominates the headlines, something sneaky seems to happen behind the scenes? While everyone's looking to breaking updates, governments have a way of sliding certain laws right under the radar. It's not always malicious, but sometimes it feels a bit too convenient. From quirky regulations to eyebrow-raising bills, history is full of moments where attention was elsewhere and new laws slipped quietly into reality. Buckle up, because these 10 laws prove that what happens off camera can be just as interesting as what's on the news. Number 1, the Midnight Patriot Act extension. Remember the chaos of political drama and celebrity scandals that seemed to dominate the airwaves one summer? While everyone debated reality TV show contestants and viral tweets, lawmakers quietly reauthorized key sections of the Patriot Act again. The renewal happened late at night with minimum debate, extending surveillance powers that many thought had expired. Supporters said it was essential for national security. Critics called it an erosion of privacy disguised as a routine measure. The irony, most people didn't even realize it happened until months later. Number 2, the cheeseburger bill of liability. While the media feasted on a massive celebrity divorce case, Congress quietly served up something unexpected, the so-called cheeseburger bill. Officially known as the Personal Responsibility in Food Consumption Act, It shielded fast food chains from lawsuits blaming them for obesity. The law was pitched as protecting businesses from frivolous claims, but critics argued it protected unhealthy corporate practices more than consumers. It didn't make big headlines at the time, but it shaped how food corporations operate to this day. Turns out a little legislative fine print can be just as filling as a Big Mac. Number 3, net neutrality's quiet undoing. When everyone was talking about viral dance trends and blockbuster movie releases, one of the most consequential tech policy shifts slips by. The rollback of net neutrality rules. The decision gave internet service providers more control over how data travels online, potentially allowing them to prioritize certain websites or slow down others. The public outrage came too late. By the time the news cycle caught up, the vote had already happened. What looked like a technical update was actually a massive shift in how the internet functions. It was a reminder that not all revolutions happen on social media. Some happen in meeting rooms. Number 4, the Real ID Act. A new normal for identification. Amid post-holiday distractions and celebrity awards showbiz, Congress quietly passed the Real ID Act, a law that will forever change how Americans prove their identity. The measure set new federal standards for state-issued IDs, effectively turning driver's license into a more uniform national identification system. Supporters said it strengthened security after 9/11, but detractors warned of privacy risks and increased federal surveillance. Most people didn't notice until years later when their IDs suddenly didn't meet new travel requirements. Sometimes the slowest laws end up having the longest reach. Agricultural gag orders, number 5. While the nation was fixated on a high-profile sports scandal, several states quietly passed ag-gag laws. These bills made it illegal to film or report on farming practices without permission, effectively shielding factory farms from scrutiny. Supporters claimed they were protecting private property and jobs, but critics saw them as silencing whistleblowers and animal rights activists. For years, these laws kept undercover investigations at bay. It wasn't until documentaries started shedding light on them that people realized how much had been hidden in plain sight. Number 6, the bank bailout bonuses. During the financial crisis, everyone was focused on economic collapse, unemployment, and bailouts. Meanwhile, deep within those same bailout packages were quiet provisions allowing financial executives to still collect hefty bonuses, even at the institutions that have been rescued with taxpayer money. Lawmakers claimed it was necessary to retain talent, but the public saw it as rewarding failure. The fine print was buried so deeply that it took investigative reporters weeks to uncover it. By then, the checks had already cleared. The daylight savings shortcut. Remember when the clock suddenly changed and no one could remember why? Back in 2005, while national attention was locked on international conflicts and celebrity trials, Congress approved a law extending daylight savings time by 4 weeks. The stated goal was to conserve energy, but the real winners were retailers and golf courses, which saw boosted profits from longer evenings. Critics argued it confused schedules, disrupted sleep, and barely saved any power at all. Yet somehow we all just accepted it, bleary-eyed and yarning. Student loan shields for private lenders. When attention was locked on social media feuds and pop culture meltdowns, A subtle change to bankruptcy law made it nearly impossible to discharge private student loans. Before the shift, only federal loans were protected from bankruptcy claims. The amendment, tucked into a much larger bill, quietly expanded that same protection to private lenders. The result? Millions of borrowers have struggled for decades with debt they can't legally escape. A small paragraph in a massive document reshaped the future of higher education finance, and few even noticed. Number 9, the many Patriot Acts in state legislatures. While federal lawmakers grabbed the spotlight, state legislatures quietly passed their own versions of the Patriot Act. Local laws expanding police surveillance and limiting public assembly. These smaller state-level laws rarely made national headlines, especially when major national crises dominated the news cycle. Yet they collectively built a foundation for widespread monitoring that most citizens didn't see coming. By the time people realized their local privacy protections had eroded, the new normal had already settled in. It's proof that sometimes the biggest shifts happen one quiet vote at a time. Number 10, the corporate tax recalibration. During one particular chaotic news cycle filled with celebrity scandals and international tension, Congress passed a sweeping corporate tax reform. While headlines focused on the headline rate reduction, the real magic was hidden in the details. Special exemptions, foreign income rules, and incentives for offshore profits. The legislation was marked as simplification, but in practice, it created new loopholes big enough to drive a private jet through. Economists debated its effects for years, but most Americans had no idea it happened until tax season rolled around. By then, the fine print had already reshaped the corporate landscape. What happens in the background matters. While the nation's attention was captured by breaking stories, these laws crept quietly into existence, each with ripple effects that still shape daily life. Some were clever, some were controversial, and others downright sneaky, but all share one thing. They remind us that democracy requires vigilance even when we're distracted. The truth is, the most important headlines don't always make the front page. Staying informed isn't just about what's trending, it's about what's buried. Have you noticed the law that slipped by while no one was looking? I invite you to share your thoughts, stories, or discoveries in the comments below. Again, 3 days ago, 10 laws passed quietly while the nation was distracted. Brandon Marcus from politics. So those couple of things struck my interest. I thought it'd be good to kind of pass those things along. As I said, the heavy lifting up front, do the lighter material now that that's taken care of, which brings us to some information that came across Google. And it has to do with Solange Knowles. And it's from the New York magazine, The Cut, and it's entitled Back to School. And I kind of like the article because Solange, if you don't know, is sister to Beyonce. And she reveals and covers a couple of things about how turns have taken in her life that brought her to this position. That's Professor Solange to you. On Monday, the University of California announced that its newest professor and the Thornton School of Music's first scholar in residence is Grammy-winning artist Solange Knowles. If you're wondering what that means, the Los Angeles Times reports that for the next 3 years, Solange will teach a course, host student workshops, and help faculty develop program offerings in music curation. I'm sure every USC frat boy with a budding DJ career could benefit from this. But that's not all a scholar in residence does. Solange will join as the second member of the Dean's Creative Vanguard program, a wide-ranging group of distinguished music artists and creative leaders. Artist and producer Raphael Sadiq, with whom Solange and Beyonce have both collaborated, joined as the first in December. Solange will teach her course in collaboration with St. Heron, a creative agency she started in 2013. Class is tentatively titled Records of Discovery, Methodologies for Music and Cultural Tutorial Practices, and will, per the Times, explore the process of constructing tutorial frameworks alongside the context, craft, and creation of musical landscapes. I am a GED graduate. I was a teenage mom. I was pregnant with my son at 17, so I didn't get to further my education in the classical sense, Solange told the Times. But I was really blessed and honored to have enriched these other parts of education through my art, through travel, and through the globalization of my life. So to be able to have access and broader tools as a scholar in residence to enrich that and deepen that is really so exciting for me. Where do I sign up to audit? So I thought that was a nice piece about Solange Knowles, professor in the fall. Here's one that kind of goes back to articles that have come across in the news. This is really the last weekend for October. Next weekend we'll be into November. November 1st is Saturday. So this has some bearing because amongst the things that with the government shutdown continuing, if the government is not up and running by the 27th of this month, then the SNAP program will be affected, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is for pregnant women, mothers, and infants. It's also connected to WIC, Women, Infants, and Children Food Program. So that's the 27th. The thing about it is, SNAP program is funded by the federal government, but it's distributed by the states. So they have to have the money in the month preceding the month that the benefits are handed out. So that's what this article is related to that I'm about to share with you now. Again, give me a second or two to focus. And Cardi B also has spoke out about Trump's possibly cutting food assistance program. So, okay, SNAP benefits, and then there's another one. Few seconds, folks. Please bear with me. I wanted to share this one because, okay, we'll go back up again. It said, it starts with the idea that if this man is about to have food riots. So that's why I wanted to share. There is one or two more. Cardi B speaks out about the possibility of food stamps being cut off and what that could bring. And then this particular one, which I'm trying to find right now. And I just had seen it when I was in here looking for the other article. So I hope that I'm able to find it. Soon. Well, so many things coming out. It's like, oh, here we go. Excuse me. Opinion, the Mary Sue, 3 days ago. The gangster is going to cause food riots. People have strong opinions about Trump's declaration of cutting Democratic programs. As the United States continues to experience a government shutdown, the country's dictator-in-chief, Donald Trump, and his Republican Party continue to make efforts to malign and corner their opposition. Recently, Trump has been threatening to cut funding and firing federal workers in Democrat-run states in a desperate attempt to get what he wants from them. In a new video from one of his recent press conferences, Trump is seen reiterating his stance on the Democrats. Speaking to a Fox News interviewer, he admitted to permanently cutting Democratic programs, which Republicans did not want, in a shameless display of power. He highlighted, "We're cutting Democratic programs that we didn't want because, they made one mistake. They didn't realize that gives me the right to cut programs that Republicans never wanted. Giveaways, welfare programs, etc. And we're doing that and cutting them permanently." He also mentioned canceling a $20 billion project that Minority Leader of the United States Senate Chuck Schumer fought for 15 years to achieve. And I will say this, and this is going back, Chuck Schumer was one of those people that helped construct the gun ban that was incorporated and put into law during the Clinton administration. Continuing, stating, "We're cutting a $20 billion project that Schumer fought for 15 years to get, and I'm cutting the project. That project is going to be dead. It's pretty much dead right now." Trump's controversial words reached many people through social media platforms such as X, formerly Twitter, where they did not remain silent. While some MAGA supporters continue to show unwavering support for him, many others condemned Trump's behavior. One person wrote, "The gangster is going to cause food riots so he can declare martial law and delay or even cancel the midterms because he knows the Dems will sweep them and then remove him from office. America's crime boss is a schemer." Another person echoed similar sentiments and wrote, "This is not what a serious president should do or say, especially if he cared about the American people. The fact is, he's so divisive and publicly favors a political party tells you all you need to know." Several others pointed out how Trump's comments and potential actions could affect red states more than blue states. So that's the conclusion of that article. There was another article, "I Got Nothing For You." A man lashes out at Donald Trump as he accuses him of giving away billions to, I think it was Venezuela or Brazil, and in the last several administrations, almost every president has given out some money as incentive, $1,400 in some cases, and Donald Trump has not done that. So that was an article of a man commenting on that part. And then Cardi B calls out Trump administration for cuts to food assistance program. I don't know how people are surviving. And she even went so far as to kind of apologize for her approach in trying to, when her album dropped, the way she presented trying to sell it, considering the times in which we're living financially. So people are kind of stepping in and verbalizing what they think about current conditions in this country related to everyday necessities. And to kind of put the icing on the cake, on Tuesday of this week, October 22nd, President Donald Trump appeared to confirm reports that he is demanding the Justice Department pay him $230 million in compensation for the federal investigations into him. So that's another thing you can keep your eyes on. Going back to a lighter fare here, martial arts. This is kind of a favorite thing of mine, which over the years has kept my attention. This particular article was on the Google feed, and it had to do with judo, jiu-jitsu, and a $10,000 prize. And it's not so much about the money or anything else like that, as the fact that, well, let me do it this way. It's a jiu-jitsu competition. The prize was in open weight. And as you know, in all sports competitions, especially combat sports, weight is one of the class along with gender. So this particular tournament allowed an open weight class. So the difference between judo and jiu-jitsu, judo preceded jiu-jitsu, and judo is mostly the throws. You see somebody throw somebody over their shoulder or toss them around like a rag doll, so to speak. That is judo. The distinguishing difference between that and jiu-jitsu is that jiu-jitsu not only has the takedowns, but grappling, and also getting your opponent into a submission hold. So that's when you see the takedown, the grab, maybe an arm bar, which you're familiar with the arm bar technique. That is not included in judo, but in jiu-jitsu it is. So that's one distinguishing thing. Also, if you don't have a background per se in martial arts, then you're more familiar with karate, kung fu, judo. Jiu-jitsu stepped up, and the thing that brought jiu-jitsu into its popularity is that the way it is used allows a smaller person to take advantage of a bigger person and use their size against them. So this particular article talks about a tournament that was held about a open weight competition in jiu-jitsu in which there was a $10,000 prize. So let myself adjust and find this one and share that with you. While I'm doing this, I will also say if you are older with no background in the martial arts to speak of, Tai Chi is recommended because it is a low impact activity, And the benefits to you, not only in your breathing, but for your brain, as far as memory is concerned, for your balance, and also for your overall health. Since martial arts, as far as a business, you have to pay for the classes that you received. It comes under health and fitness. So the guidelines are there, and at the top of this list is customer service. So anytime you might think you want to get involved, then there are ways to find out if anything like Tai Chi is offered in your area, which you can benefit from, especially if you are a senior or have already retired. So let me see how this is going. Oh, okay. Let me do this. Well, I guess it would help if I went to Google instead of trying to find it under news, right? That would help. Here we go. And this is from the Guam Daily Post, dated October 19th. Excuse me. Delonzo DJ Jackson defeats Anthony Cruz in Mariana's Open top men's black belt fight, wins 10K. From up-and-comers in the roster and Pee Wee children's divisions to black belt superstars, nearly 1,000 martial artists, supporters, and fans packed the University of Guam Cabo Field House on Saturday to participate in or watch the 2025 Marianas Open International Championship Gi and No Gi Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament in Magalhães. With more than $50,000 up for grabs in several different divisions and weight classes, the Marianas Open, an official event under the Asian Sport Jiu-Jitsu Federation umbrella, was about more than podiums, medals, and bragging rights. It was about getting hands on the cash. In the two most lucrative fights of the tournament, which took place in the men's and women's adult black belt open weight divisions, Delonzo DJ Jackson and Gabriela Persana each earned a huge payday. Persana, in her gold medal match, defeated Cristo Fernanda. Jackson, with 10 grand on the line, defeated Anthony the Ant Cruz via points. Throughout the Jackson versus Cruz bout, Cruz remained on his back in his trademark fighting position, making himself as small as possible as the more robust Jackson searched for room to apply a submission hold, which never materialized. I thought I'd be able to get either my knee cut guard pass or my over-under pass going, but Anthony knows it's coming, so he was able to block it, Jackson said. 3 times throughout the super fight, Jackson appeared to lift Cruz off of the mat ever so slightly, but Cruz defeated intelligently and guarded his position. Unable to get Cruz to tap and submit, Jackson still emerged victorious. He was just so tight in his positions, I couldn't find any space to get through his guard or get around his guard. I had to really dig deep, Jackson said. I'm just so excited to have come out and won the Marianas Open, he added. Before moving to the island and becoming a martial arts instructor at Mount Carmel School in Haggett, Jackson, 36, had only competed in the Marianas Open once, but did not win gold. The feat his friends and teammates had, citing Keenan Cornelis and Jeju Torres as past champions of the Marianas Open. This year, Jackson decided to compete in the open weight division. In 2024, he competed in the Masters division. It's just so cool to have won the Marianas Open like so many of my teammates before. It's one of the hardest tournaments in this area because everyone's coming to win the 10K. 10K never will not motivate you, but it's very prideful to get the gold medal and win and represent the island. Before meeting Cruz in the gold medal match, Jackson had tough bouts against Dean Rosas, Frank the Crank Camacho, and Xavier Silva. After defeating the trio in the earlier rounds, Jackson advanced to face a familiar adversary. We trained together a bunch, so we're familiar with each other's games. He's a very good competitor, and it's just another day in the gym. It's like that. When you train in the gym, it's always a hard-fought round, and this was probably the hardest we've ever fought. So I was excited to be able to get the pass, but it took me a long time to get it done. Respectfully, Jackson recognized Cruz's unorthodox fighting style as different yet effective. I don't know if sneaky is the right word, but he's tricky. He has a very tricky guard. He'll do things a little bit differently than most people do, and if he's able to get under you or get a grip around your legs, you're in trouble, he said. Having countered and survived every one of Cruz's maneuvers, Jackson exited the mat as a champion and began preparing his students for their fights. I was happy to be able to win the tournament and represent my school. And most importantly, show the kids that no matter what, we come out, we fight as hard as we can. And if you train hard and fight hard as you can, you always get good results, Jackson says. End of article. As I stated at the beginning of the program, this is the last weekend of October 2024. Next week, we'll be into the month of November. Thriller Parade! That being said, Paris Jackson has received $65 million from the estate. Keep an eye on robots from Unitree. They were being sold at Walmart for a brief period. And out of this side, this country, there's a world's most advanced bricklaying robot that assembles 360 blocks an hour for faster homes. This is Interesting Engineering, October 14th. This is a sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker. That's it. Hashtag.